Jasmin Laine, thank you so much for joining today. Holy cow! In such short notice as well. I love your channel. I just got to throw
Thank
that
you.
out
Oh
there.
my gosh.
Just, I mean, aesthetically pleasing. I mean, of course, you're a very beautiful woman, but I mean, just aesthetically pleasing as a whole. The branding, the way your studio looks, everything is so very professional. Your demeanor comes across not like your general YouTuber. I mean, you're polished. You're polished. And I gotta say, it really took my eye, very noticeable. And I just wanted to say that because I think you're doing a bang up job.
I appreciate that so much. I mean, it's so funny how all of this even came to be. But like I've watched your live streams many times over the
Oh,
course
wow.
of years. I've just randomly seen it. I'm like, oh, let's tune in. Oh, whoa, that was really cool. And so it's such a unique experience getting to chat with you, obviously. So thank you so much. I remember when you first followed me on X. I told my mom about it. My mom doesn't know who you are, but I was like, Mom, I think this means that I'm doing something right.
Doing something.
I watched this guy like 5 times ago and and now he's
Oh,
following me.
well, that's a compliment. That's a huge compliment. I thank you
Yeah.
so much.
No, so
Now,
I do appreciate it, even though it was a very quick turnaround. That you're lucky though, because when you said we should collaborate, I'm like, great, I'm a loser. I don't do anything. I'm free whenever. Let's go.
no kidding. Well, you seem very busy. You seem very busy. You're putting out videos constantly, and I want to encourage everybody, go on over, check it out. The show is called Overly Opinionated.
Over opinionated.
Over opinionated, sorry, with Jasmin Laine. And let me just get the share the screen on here. I'm see, this is how ill prepared I am today.
This
Let
is
me
perfect. Don't you worry.
get this up on the screen for everybody to see. Check it out. Get on over, subscribe. The link is in the description down below, as well as Jasmin's Twitter, or sorry, I keep saying Twitter, X profile. Get on over there, follow, subscribe to the channel. And this is a huge community, not just of people out there voicing their opinions, but people online adding to those opinions, and everybody. It's a giant conversation, and without it, this is how democracy works. It's messy. It's all over the place. People have opinions. Sometimes people have spats. People, it's whatever. And I love it though. I love it, and that's what I like to see. It's all part and parcel of being in a free society, free markets and all of that stuff. So
all of that stuff that they're trying so gosh darn hard to remove.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Now we'll get into that. We'll get into that because there's a lot to talk about with Trump and the tariffs, which have been announced just tonight that they are going through. It's happening, and we can all guess why. But we'll get into that. But I wanted to get into this one story that broke just last week, and I don't even know where to preface this except to say, what the actual hell?
Circus show? Freak
What
show?
is this? What is this?
They used to advertise these at like circuses in the 1920s.
So,
in fact, American Horror Story did an entire season based off of this gentleman.
That's too funny. Based off of this gentleman, based off the sort of imagery, at least anyway. So this is a viral post, and incidentally, it was my post. So the photograph here was given to me by a friend who took the photograph. Right?
Whoa, wait a second. What?
Yeah, this was the original post. This is where it originated.
Okay,
Right?
that is crazy because I have seen this on so many other networks since, and it's that same photo. So
it's that same photo.
You're
right?
famous. Okay, you have made it.
So come on, Shoppers Drug Mart, don't was the tweet. That was the tweet. I just saw that. My friend sent it to me, and I just posted it on Twitter, just saying, don't. Come on, like, what is this? It's so far gone. But nonetheless, I just wanted to get into this because I'm not a consumer of makeup products. I don't buy that stuff, but you are, and you would be the clientele that would walk into a Shoppers Drug Mart, for example, and see an advertisement like this. Now, how? Obviously, it jumps out at you, but how does that jump out at you?
That's the word. I don't mean to say that. That's so rude, but we're all thinking it, so I'm just gonna say it. But that's like, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm somebody when it comes to like all of the LGBTQ, TZX, I don't know, K140 that exists out there. I don't give I just don't care. Like, do what you want,
Right.
live your best life, be happy. I want you to flourish. Great. I'm going to respect you, appreciate you, love you, no matter what. But this type of stuff, when it's so shoved down your throat, is just like, please get away from me. And like, this makeup looks like trash. What are those earrings? They look like they're from an early 2000s movie. Nobody crimps their hair anymore. Like, you couldn't have chose, like, there are so many ridiculously good looking people who identify as non-binary or transgender. They're so cute and pretty. They have these great faces, and you went with this? Really?
Well, I think Shoppers Drug Mart, they've got a track record of going for this kind of look. Now, this is their ad from a year ago. I'll pop this on the screen, and I'm just,
Oh Lord.
I'm probably gonna have to remove the
Is that
audio
Sam
later,
Smith?
but
Who is that?
I'm not sure who it is. But this is their ad. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, is this parody though? Like, I thought it was parody at first because it's
I
just there's nothing beautiful about that. I mean,
no.
beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Okay, let's look at it that way. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But when you're a franchise and you're looking to reach the largest demographics, you're gonna go where
It's woke virtue signaling. That's all that it is. Like, I can guarantee you that the people on the sets these days of both of those films, or if that I don't know if there was a video associated with this other campaign as well, but I can guarantee you the people in the background on the sets of that were like, ugh. Like, because there's such a loud but silent majority of people who are just very against this stuff publicly. And it's just woke virtue signaling that I have such a hard time believing that the companies involved actually care about it, actually think that it matters. They're literally just doing it to, oh, I'm inclusive. It's
right.
stupid.
And this is where it kind of gets into the territory of like, okay, yeah, you're just being woke. And you're just trying to get the woke points and whatever. People will still buy the products regardless, nonetheless. But then it goes into the point of view of, okay, well, now you've picked your mascot,
Mhm.
what would you call it, the person that's the face of your company,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You picked your spokesperson. Is it a spokesman?
I don't know.
we can't say for
That's
sure,
risky
right?
territory.
risky, very. So, but you've picked this as the face for your business. And we've learned about this quite a bit in recent years of like, whoa, maybe do a background check on the people that you look into. So
Mhm.
this is the individual that we're talking about. Now, this person's an activist, actually. So
Oh no.
yeah, you have to go out and find some of the stuff, but finally found the name of the individual that goes by a name of Miles Sexton, fashion model, and is an activist for HIV. So an HIV activist. And I got really curious about this. I didn't know how to react to that. I said, what does that even mean? Right. So this is the individual at play here. Now, Shoppers Drug Mart, obviously picking an activist.
Miles Sexton has almost 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, this
Continue.
isn't somebody you just accidentally pick, and out of nowhere you're like, oh, oops, we picked somebody who has like no profile but does some other things, right?
Mhm.
No, this is someone who's very well known, and in fact, in recent times was actually under some controversy. I'm talking like 5 months ago. Now, 5
Okay.
months ago.
Fill me in. I'm not familiar with that.
So this is the controversy. So first and foremost, what is an AIDS activist or an HIV activist? What does that even mean? Like,
Somebody
I
who
didn't
wants
know.
to encourage it. That isn't that usually what activists do? It's that you're promoting something. Are you promoting? That sounds
Well,
really
so
ignorant, but what is that? Yeah, like
right. So at first glance, it was okay. We're trying to lift the stigma around people who are infected with HIV. And,
Okay.
were people to that kind of thing. Okay, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. And of course, stigmas are something that you would want to remove in society. But this isn't where it kind of goes down a darker path. Now, where the controversy came in was when a podcast went viral. I think it was Amelia, I don't even know how to pronounce her name, with 2.3 million subscribers, posted this video on her YouTube channel, garnering hundreds of thousands of views, talking about this
Amala
individual.
Ekpanobi.
Is that how you pronounce that?
I've watched her before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the opening clip to her.
Where HIV is now, like, if you are undetectable, like, you don't necessarily like have to disclose that. I don't think you're putting anyone at any risk that you have to like necessarily go through that, but it's because of the stigma and shame that I feel like I have to disclose. People would look at that as betrayal.
Jail. A gay man is going viral for talking about how he did not disclose his HIV to a sexual partner. Let's talk about it.
So she goes on about that, but I found the original podcast. So this is the original podcast, and the point in the original podcast that was being discussed about that, because I wanted to find the real context, right? Okay, what is the context of this situation? And this is what was shared here.
Like dating, like
right
prior to me being HIV positive, I was in my slut era, and, I was living my best life and whatever, like figuring out what I enjoyed. And as soon as I put HIV positive on my profiles or like disclose that to people, it's just like people don't want to touch you,
right?
And that has gotten better, but it's still unfortunate. Like,
of course.
I remember being on a date with someone. It was just like a first date, but like I knew like it wasn't going to be anything, and I felt like it was like hookup vibes. And so I brought him back to my place, and we were making out, and kind of getting hot and heavy. And then I was like, okay, like I need to tell you something. Like I'm HIV positive. And I remember he like looked at me, and it was like I murdered him. And he started like getting like very verbally abusive and started freaking out at me. And I'm like, I have this person in my like home. I was like, I thought he was going to beat the shit out of me. And I had to like get him out of my house. He was like, I can't believe you wouldn't tell me. And like
I'm doing
I was like,
that right now.
like, and I'm like, we're trying to educate him. And he's like, you gave me HIV, and like was just like losing his mind. And I'm like, no, that's not possible. Even if I bled on you, like in an open wound, like that wouldn't happen. I'm undetectable.
So this is the kind of the crux of it right here, and this is where it gets into where the activism is going. And believe me, there's a direction in Canada for this. I'm going to get into that, but the activism is in the realm of we should destigmatize this by making it so you don't have to disclose with people your status. Now we just went through a whole period in Canadian history of not having informed consent, and this is what this comes down to. It comes down to a situation of informed consent. Should people be able to be informed about something like this ahead of time? And then obviously this person being the spokesperson for Shoppers Drug Mart, a company that sells the medication that these people would end up having to take.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I have a number of thoughts here from watching the video with more context. Number one, if anybody else caught that at the very beginning, he said something to the effect of like, oh, well, even when I would put it in my bio and stuff, or like on my profile, then people would immediately reject me. And to me, I view that as something very narcissistic, or not necessarily narcissistic, sorry, prideful, egotistical, where you're intentionally putting something that is controversial, is probably going to have people think a little about a situation. You're doing that on purpose because that that's the reaction that you're going to get. And it's almost like you're testing that, and then you're going to use that as ammo going forward, which he did. So that was just an interesting little part of that. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but I just think at the end of the day, though, there absolutely is there's so many STIs and stuff like that and STDs that people are hesitant about, that there's stigmas regarding, but medical science has advanced so much in some of these cases where absolutely it's really not as big of a deal as it was back in the day. having said that, there's still laws, there's still basic human decency, and perhaps you should use the opportunities to maybe shed some light on some of that stuff versus shaming people for giving you the reaction that you knew you were going to get.
So getting into the law, I had to read up on the law to find out what this actually means. Is there criminal precedent, that kind of thing? Now, the law states that if you do not disclose ahead of time, then after the fact, it is assumed that once you learn of the fact, that consent is withdrawn. And in that case, then it's actually aggravated assault of a sexual nature.
Ooh.
Which is the highest crime. It's the, I can't say the word on YouTube, but
yeah,
we say struggle snuggle here. That's the that's the term that YouTube's okay with. But that's what the crime actually is. So if you don't disclose, and you know that you're infected, and you're not giving somebody the opportunity to have informed consent, that once they learn, then consent is then withdrawn. Now that's the criminal law in Canada. So and this is where the activism comes in. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there's actually a move from the part of the Liberal government to alleviate people of this burden, as they may call it. So this is reforming the criminal law regarding HIV non-disclosure. Government of Canada launches public consultation. This is from October 20th, 2022. And this is under the Department of Justice Canada, under David Lametti at the time. You remember the guy who said that Canadians don't ultimately have a right to private property? Yeah, that same guy, the same guy was really happy to bring it forward, this idea that essentially bringing it forward that we should destigmatize, right? Destigmatize. And what they're saying in this, by saying destigmatize, they're saying we should make allowances for people with HIV not to disclose, given certain criteria, certain situations. Now, those certain situations, I'll get into it. Like,
yeah,
they say that, well, right now they have medication, and that's fine, and you can live with HIV.
Yeah.
That on its own, I think, is a bad argument, because giving it to somebody, well, just because there's medication, they have to pay out for this medication, and they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. Is a terrible argument. But then they say that some people, they'll have a low viral load, and that's the term that they're using. So the risk would be so low that it shouldn't be necessary for you to disclose. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that if there's any risk at all, that should be up to the person through disclosure, right? So
dare I also say, so that was published in 2022, right?
That's right. So
dare I also say that roughly around similar time frame, we were in a period of time where very low risk, to potentially pass something on to somebody else was taken very seriously.
Very seriously.
So that's weird timing to suddenly say, nah, we're good.
Nah, we're good. We don't need to have these precautions, and we don't need to give people informed decision making. We should allow I don't know how else to describe it, but a perpetrator to go undetected. I mean,
I worry too, and again, I'm probably looking into this too deep, but I do worry too. Somebody who has like a good heart, morals, good intent would probably just disclose because that's just a normal thing to do. You would do that with thing to do. Yeah, you would do that with anything, right? Like, but so to me, a push for there to be people who don't want to disclose, and I understand, of course, the repercussions or potential shame that you may feel, and that may be a reason why you don't want to disclose or something. Like, I get that it's not a fun situation to be in, that unfortunately you're in. Having said that, I'm not showing you so much compassion that I think that you shouldn't have to. And I also think that I could view that as being almost like a really crazy, weird power trip where somebody could almost kind of like get their rocks off a tad by being like, I have this secret that I'm not telling you. Like there's something, it just seems like convoluted almost to try so hard to not disclose something that people should know about, right?
That's a crime to do currently.
That's crazy.
Right. So this is, and someone would have to convince me otherwise at this point, after the research I've done, that this is not where the activism is for HIV activism. HIV activism, the way it looks to me, and through the government of Canada and governmental powers, that they're putting forward an action plan to try to decriminalize this behavior. And mind you, this is at the end of the day, it's also promoting promiscuity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, like there's people like us that are probably, trying to encourage people, hey, how about a more wholesome life?
Mhm.
A wholesome life would probably be a better way to go. None of these things are a risk if you have a wholesome life. But throwing that down the road, that's the end of our society, right?
Stuff like this though, like when I see, the Shoppers ad alone, I'm like, I totally understand why you did it. I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid for you to do, but hey, I'm not your marketing team, so whatever. I also wanted to point out as well, pulling up this dude's Instagram account, he doesn't have makeup on in any of his pictures. So it's funny that he's promoting makeup for Shoppers in this one.
Oh, that's too funny. Right.
Like literally zero makeup. So, okay then. But just a little side note there. But at the end of the day, like this, like why it just is government waste. It's so much government waste. You see that with Doge. Did you hear the other day about like how they cut, it was like $50 million or something in wrappings that you put on bananas that they cut that were going to Hamas and Gaza from the USA.
Oh, wrappings you put on. You caught me off guard there. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a YouTube bad word. I'm still new.
I don't know, but it's good to be cautious. Yeah.
Banana wrappings. But even that, it's to me, it's in that same category of just wasteful, useless spending. Why on earth are you doing a study for that? How many millions of dollars did that cost? How many thousands of dollars did it cost to even publish the papers and get people involved? It's one of those things too. That's what our politicians are focusing on right now. For real. Yeah. With all the problems that we have, that's taking up somebody's priority task list. No wonder we're in the mess that we're in.